What's up, everyone? Coming to you guys live from LA. Kicking it at my house right now. I haven't done a few videos in like the last 2 weeks, so thought I'd obviously tune in and do one right now. I'm gonna be talking about the UFC fights that are gonna be coming up, and also the UFC fights that took place on the Holy Home fight. That was a crazy fight. But before I even jump into that stuff, go ahead and smash the like button, subscribe, and make sure you guys drop your comments on what you guys think about the UFC fight cards and what you guys thought about Holly Holm's performance. So, yeah, the Holly Holm fight against Irene Aldana was um, on Saturday. I believe, what was it, the 3rd? Yeah, Saturday the 3rd. I thought Irene Aldana was gonna give her a really hard time, but Holly Holm was able to beat her strategically and pick her apart throughout the rounds. And she pretty much had the strategy of Israel Adesanya against Paulo Costa, which he pretty much picked them apart, right? And just was able to get the victory at the end. So Holly Holm did really good. I thought she would be facing a little bit more of a challenge against Aldana, but obviously Holly Holm was able to prevail pretty easily. So good for her. Good for her. And I think she still definitely has it in her to have another title shot. I think she certainly has the skills. She has the experience. I would say that she definitely has another go in her, and also that she was really motivated to get that victory over Irene Aldana. And I just want to say, should she continue with that motivation and hunger like she showed in the Aldana fight on Saturday, I would definitely say that she has a really good chance of winning. Also considering her skills and experience, regardless of her age. So Holly Holm definitely has another go in her, and I would say that we would definitely not count her out in terms of another title run. So she's got a lot of potential still. So yeah, we won't forget about Holly Holm, especially after the victory she had over Aldana and how she did it, right? So yeah, and then the other fight, I think that was the co-main event for the Holly Holm Irene Aldana fight, was Jorgen De Castro against Carlos Felipe. I didn't watch that fight actually, but I heard that Carlos Felipe put on a pretty good show, and he's 9-1 now, and that was the heavyweight division. So heavyweight's always interesting, right? So let's not also keep a blind eye to Carlos Felipe. He's coming up. I mean, I guess he's new to the UFC. This is the first time I'm hearing about him, but he's 9-1, so that's really good. For him, obviously, and then going to the next upcoming event before I jump into UFC 254, we have the Marlon Moraes fighting Corey Sandhagen. I think that's gonna be a war. I actually think this UFC fight night between Moraes and Sandhagen is stacked. I think this is gonna be a crazy one. We got Edson Barboza. He's obviously a name fighting Makwan Amir Khani. Um. So yeah, I mean Edson Barboza always puts on a show, regardless if he wins or loses. So that's gonna be an interesting one. And then for the third fight for the UFC fight night of Moraes and Sandhagen, we got Ben Rothwell against Marcin Tybura. And that's I don't think is gonna go to a decision. So that's obviously gonna end in a KO or TKO, in my opinion. I mean that's gonna be one to watch and for one to not blink, because these are heavyweights swinging at each other. So you don't want to be blink. You don't want to blink whenever that fight's going on. So And then there's these other fighters as well. I'm looking this up on the Google search. So for this Moraes and Sandhagen fight, which is this Saturday. Yeah, it's in 5 days, guys. This Saturday. It's gonna be one to tune into. I mean, I can tell you the main event is gonna be a war. The main event between Marlon Moraes and Corey Sandhagen is gonna be a war. I really think that Marlon Moraes is a really good fighter. I think he's got a lot of potential, even though there were some shortcomings in his last few fights. But I've always viewed him special, just like a lot of people are viewing like that Shazmad guy, that guy that's just literally beating everybody as special, considering he's knocking him out in like the first round, like he did against one of the other fighters. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but let's see if I can quickly pull it up. It was pretty much. Let's see, which fight was that under? I'm trying to find that out. Was it this one? No. Yeah. Anyways, that Shazmad guy, it's like the new Khabib, literally. So that guy, is special, and like I was saying, I think that Marlon Moraes is also still special, even though he had some shortcomings. I mean, Marlon has fought some warriors, while that Shazmad guy has not really fought uh any big contenders. Oh yeah, not Shazmad. What am I saying? Hamzat Chimaev. There we go. So Hamza is making a name out of himself, beating everybody in the first round in spectacular fashion. So this guy's last victory was against Gerald Mearshart, and that was a crazy performance. I mean, I think Marlon Moraes still has that going on, like Hamza does. So that's why I've always been interested in seeing Marlon fight, because he's always put on a show regardless of win or lose, and I think that also at the same time that he still has a great opportunity for a title shot. I mean, like I said, he fought warriors. I mean, who has Hamza fought realistically? The way he's beaten people. Let me say something here. The way Hamzat Shimaev has beaten people has pretty much been the equivalency of how Paul Acosta beat people, right? So, but he hasn't really faced any challenges, and we saw a challenge that rose whenever we saw um, Paul Acosta against Israel Adesanya, and look what happened. It was a one-sided beating. So, I mean, we'll see how long Khamzat Chimaev can continue on this run, but obviously, um, he's getting his name out there for himself right now. So that's gonna be something to look forward to. But again, for this Marlon Moraes card, we got Edson Barboza against Makwan Amirkhani. That'll be a good one. And I think Ben Rothwell and Marcin Tybura, that is definitely not going to go to a decision. So you guys don't want to be blinking when you watch that fight. Usually, like these heavyweight fights, I just stand up and I'm just watching it, just standing up, knowing it's not going to go to a decision. So, um, yeah, I guess that's it. Those are the three main fights for the Marlon Moraes and Sandhagen fight. But just to quickly put my opinion out there, I got Marlon Moraes beating Sandhagen. I think Sandhagen is a stud. I think he can definitely beat Moraes too. But I think right now Marlon is a little bit hungrier, and the factor of which fighter is more hungry is how I look at in terms of determining who would win the fight. So yeah, I got Marlon winning that fight, and then the fight between Edson Barboza and Makwan Amirkhani. I got Edson winning that fight just because Edson, dude, guys, Edson Barboza has literally been through wars against the greatest fighters, literally of all time. I mean, he's fought names and he's literally become a name himself. So that's certainly gonna be one to not miss. And then the third fight, Ben Rothwell against Marcin. Yeah, that one is gonna be crazy, but I got Ben Rothwell winning that fight. And yeah, I mean that's pretty much the gist of it. For the Moraes Sandhagen fight, and that one's gonna be on October 10, guys. October 10 at 5 p.m. Pacific time, I believe. Yeah, Pacific time. So that card is gonna be stacked. There's prelim fights in there too. And other cards. I mean other fights under the main card as well. So that's definitely gonna be one to watch. I mean, that entire card is gonna be entertaining either way. So don't miss it, guys. And then the next event after the Moraes and Sandhagen fight is gonna be 7 days after, which is also gonna be Saturday, but October 17th. So that is also this one here is also a stacked card. I mean, guys, it's Brian Ortega against Korean Zombie. Brian Ortega against Korean Zombie. You do not want to miss this one, guys. I'm telling you. And honestly, I don't know who's gonna win this one. I have no idea. This one I still haven't decided. Brian Ortega was on the run until that loss he had. I can't remember who he lost to, but I remember that he fought. He was fighting really good, but let me just quickly see if I can pull that up. I just can't remember it off the top of my head, but I know that he fought someone really strong. So let me pull that up real quick so I can talk about it. Oh yeah, it was against Max Holloway. That's right. Um, yeah, well, I mean, Holloway is former champ, right? And uh, I think that Ortega was against the challenge fighting Max Holloway, considering how skillful he was. But up until that point, Brian Ortega was going through his opponents like a knife cutting a cake, right? So Brian Ortega was having an easy time against a lot of his opponents coming up in the UFC, and I would say that even Ortega had a pretty quick rise himself into the top five. So Brian Ortega against Korean Zombie is going to be good. And let me talk a little bit about Korean Zombie side. I think Korean Zombie was off for a little bit. I think he didn't fight for a little. Let me just pull up his thing. And I think he had what was his last fight? Let's see. Against Frankie Edgar. So he's coming off of a 2-fight win streak, and I think Korean Zombie's hungrier than ever now. And we obviously have Brian Ortega too. That's also hungry. I mean, he's only lost one fight. I mean, he's still right up there. So yeah, this is gonna be a war. Korean Zombie against Brian Ortega is gonna be a war. Um, I don't know. I still haven't decided who I'm gonna choose as the victor for that fight, but I just think Ortega has a little bit of a chance, of a higher chance considering his grappling abilities. But we'll see. I mean, I'm definitely not counting out Korean Zombie because I think Korean Zombie is better on the feet, and I think that he's definitely got the skills to beat Ortega. So we'll definitely see how that fight plays out. So that's gonna be a good one as well. And there's some other fights here. Serial Gain. Not sure who that is. The first time I'm looking at his name right now. He's at no losses. He's 6-0. It's a heavyweight fight. It's the co-main event for the Ortega Korean Zombie fight card against Ant Delija. And yeah, that's probably gonna be a good one. I mean, I don't think Dana White would be putting on fights right now that wouldn't end in you know in a spectacular fashion like a KO or TKO. Considering the Costa Israel Adesanya fight that didn't really go in his preference, considering considering Acosta didn't really push forward in that fight and do what Dana White was saying he would do. So we'll see what happens. And then Jimmy Crute, it's a light heavyweight fight against Modestas Bukauskas. These are all new guys. Honestly, I don't really know them, but just for this fight, I mean the main card. I mean it's Ortega against Korean Zombie, Brian Ortega against Korean Zombie. So that's definitely gonna be one you guys are not gonna want to miss. And then I don't know. I don't really know any of the other fighters on this fight card. So yeah, it doesn't really look that there's gonna be too many. It's six in total, six fights total. It's gonna be on ESPN Plus. So yeah, don't miss it, guys. It'll be an interesting one. And then lastly, Justin Gaethje and Khabib. This is gonna be a war. I don't know who's gonna win, but I feel like Justin Gaethje has a good chance to win Khabib. But I mean, the way Khabib ragdolled his opponents is obviously, not to discount. I mean, this is Khabib, guys. He's fought everybody, the best of the best. He's fought Connor. He's fought um, what's that other guy's face? He's fought a couple other good opponents, but yeah, UFC 254 is stacked. I don't know who's gonna win this one. I like it's weird. If you ask me at one point, I'll tell you this fighter is gonna win. But if you ask me a little bit later, after thinking about it like subconsciously for a little bit longer, I'd go like, oh no, this fighter is gonna win. So it's weird. I mean, you are always considering different circumstances each fighter can present to the other. So we'll have to see what happens. But I'm gonna. And by the way, guys, this is just me going over the upcoming fights. I'm gonna be doing a full blown review right before the fights of who I think is gonna win and why. But that's definitely still to come. But right now, I'm just pretty much going over the fights. And the next one is gonna be Robert Whitaker against Jared Cannonier. That one, yeah, is also gonna be a war. I mean, Whitaker always brings it, so yeah, that's definitely not either gonna be one to not miss. And then Alexander Volkov against Walt Harris. Those are two good names in heavyweight that are also up and coming. Regardless of their wins and losses, I mean, their names and they're there, so that's gonna be good. And then we have the fourth fight. Yeah, fourth fight. Islam Makhachev against Rafael Dos Anjos. So I think that's Khabib's partner against RDA. I mean, I don't know about that one. I feel like RDA is just fighting just to fight, but I think Islam would win that fight. But yeah, guys, drop some comments on what you guys think on whether or not these fights are interesting. And UFC 254 is going to be on October 24th. Um, Starting in the morning, actually. Oh, but I think this is because this one's gonna be in Abu Dhabi. I think that's why it's saying it for those times. But yeah, I mean I'll do more coverage for UFC 254 as it's coming up. But right now, the one to watch for is gonna be Moraes against Sandhagen as that's the one that's coming up. So I'll do a full review on who I think is gonna win before that fight starts, and then I'll obviously do a review as well after on how I think the fighters performed and whatnot, and what their future can be. So yeah, guys, drop some comments. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know who you guys got in these fights if you already have decided strongly, and subscribe to the channel and like the video, and I'll catch you guys next time, guys. Be safe out there.